Hello, welcome to the basement. I see I have covered up some things. It's funny, of course, in the old days, but even still, with light bulbs, even the LED ones get hot, so you gotta be careful not to cover them up. Anyway, I have been searching, and I have found some things. For example, look at this lovely little Christmas tree, which is powered by a USB charger. And there it's on, but if I push the button again, it will flash. Isn't it lovely? Also, I found it's a little mangled, but not terrible. It's Team Canada Collector's Edition, Dream Teams, Canada's Greatest Triumphs, 1972 Summit Series by Bob Clark, 1987 Canada Cup by Mike Keenan, 2002 Olympics by Paul Correa. And indeed, there it is. And who's on the front? I think that's Wayne Gretzky. This is a special edition put out by TSN about all the greatest moments in Canadian sport that some people will have been alive for and other people will have just heard about. But still, let me tell you, the thing that drives me bonkers is the time Team Canada went into a shootout. Wayne Gretzky was on the bench. Wayne Gretzky was available. They didn't pick him. Why? Analytics. Anyway, other things that I have found are related to my time bowling. This is a hat from the Sudbury Centennial, 1883 to 1983. And it was the YBC National Championships, the Youth Bowling Council. Now, was I bowling in it? No, I wasn't. I mentioned before I was tormented in my bowling career that when I had the highest average and I was the single, I would always make it through the zone. I'd go to the provincials, and the team that year, the team would make it to the nationals, and I wouldn't. Although, the last year when I actually did something I don't like doing, I sandbagged a little. I made sure I didn't have the highest average, and I made sure I was on the team, and we made it to the provincials, and I bowled well enough to win the singles. But two people on my team didn't do well and became second. So I was never destined to make the nationals. Anyway, I did find some other things from my bowling career from way back when. This is from a tournament called the Pepsi Challenge, which is a 5-pin bowling thing that was held all across the country at the same time on the same date, and that they knew right away who won all across the country. And the team I was on came something, because we got a plaque. We didn't come first. Maybe it was second. Maybe it was third. Anyway, but we were from Zone O, Toronto, and these shirts were kind of cool in that they were the same as what the Master Bowlers did, the light blue, and they were comfy and lovely, and I wish more had been like this, but they weren't. But anyway, this was a great day, and it wasn't just people from my alley. It was there had to be a qualifying tournament in the zone to make it. So it was a nice thing in that it was the best bowlers from the zone, not just one alley worth. So it was a bunch of people. Some people were from I think 3 of us were from the same alley, and then the other 2 were not. Here's another bowling shirt, Zone O, Toronto. And this was from, well, it doesn't see, but anyway, the big tournament was the 4 steps to stardom. There's the badge. And in fact, yes, I was the zone champion. But then, of course, off we go to the provincials. And, I was just not destined to make the nationals, even though I was the best bowler in the alley we were in, and probably the best bowler in the zone. But anyway, here's another Zone O. Now, there's no badge on this one. I don't know what that one is from. Here's another Zone O. Oh, this one was indeed 4 steps to start. Oh, this is probably the last year. 4 steps to stardom. Team member, zone champion, and yeah, we probably ended up second in the province, which means you stay home. Now here, this is something. Now, my badges would have been moved, a lot of them, but some of them are still here. This is from Shea's Avenue Road, which was a bowling alley on Avenue Road. And this was the YBC. And this is our little green shirt, and I was quite fond of it. Now, when we switched over to blue shirts, a lot of my badges went, but there's still some on here. Some of the ones they would give you for the various games and doubles and triples and things. And also, there's a little thing here. It says participant 1971 to 72, and the Youth Bowling Council badge. And what else? Oh, yeah, and there's still not all the badges were removed from the front because they didn't need to be, so they didn't. Now, what else? Oh, wait a second here. Is this what I think it is? Yes, it is. It's also a shirt that matches this hat from when I went to watch the Nationals in Sudbury because our team was there. And on the back, what does it say? It says Dave. So that goes with the hat. Other memories, although this is not from bowling, this was from the Canadian Jamboree in 1977 that we took a bus down to Prince Edward Island on. Anne Murray performed, and it was overall a pretty fine trip. It was. There were some times, it's funny, in all the brotherhood of scouting and stuff, there were people who um, wanted to inflict all kinds of punishments on people for supposed, like, oh, we think you littered, so we want to, like, throw you in the mud. And it was like, no. And I was surprised there were, these scout leaders were part of all this. Here is a shirt from the world of Commodore, I think this is the 25th, 1958 to 1983, indeed. It could use a little washing. I mean, a lot of these have been in a box for a very long time. Here's something, and it's been a long time since I've seen this, and it has reflective stuff on it, and I don't know if it's still, well, where was it? Yes, here it says. Oh yeah, this needs washing. It's got some rust. It's the Toronto Star, because for some years, my brother and I delivered newspapers, and this was the bag you'd put over your shoulder to put the papers in. It had a little flap to protect them in case it was raining, and that was good. What else? I had something else I thought I had here. Oh, okay, that's bowling. Oh yes, we've done this before. How do you spell relief? Divorce. Now this one here, this was from my high school days. There are two similar ones. I gotta find them. This was when we were at Northern Secondary School, and we indeed started a bowling club. And I was the team captain. Now, we based this shirt on what the stage crew had. And there we were, the NSS stage crew. And there I am, David. Anyway, we did have some other designs for the stage crew shirts. They did get more customized over the years, but this was my favorite. So anyway, I found all this stuff in a box. Some of them, I'll see. Well, I'm going to wash probably most of them gently, dry them gently, and then I will see. Because now, of course, like the time that I first joined the stage crew was 1979. And that too was an interesting organization. I mean, we learned about how to do things. on stage with lighting and sound and stuff. But as with any group, there were always sometimes there were kerfuffles and people who thought they were much more important than they were. They were now. I'm just trying to think. Was there anything else that I just had sitting here that I can't see because of the bright lights? The big city. No, I don't think so. So bowling, stage crew, shirts mostly. Oh yeah, they need a good soaking and washing, and I will take care of that. Anyway, I'm glad I found these. I'm glad I saved them, especially like the Shea's Avenue Road. That was a, you know what? Bowling alleys are a funny thing. They're big. They take a lot of space. And this one was on 3 floors, which eventually they said was part of the problem. 10 pin was in the basement. I remember one time, and you know what? I have a real problem with stupid. Like my brother and I went and bowled once, and see they had counters on how many frames you did. So we went and bowled, and we bowled 2 or 3 games or whatever, and went upstairs, paid and stuff. And then later some guy says, "Oh, according to the counter, you bowled like 3,000 frames." I was like, "Okay, we were down there for an hour. You have to throw a ball, the thing resets, especially if you don't get a strike. Like how many times could it possibly count over an hour? How many times could it reset when we're bowling? How many? Could it really do 3,000 resets? Even if it was just put on automatic, dump them, reset them, dump them, reset them? No, it couldn't. Anyway, I have a hard time with stupid. Anyway, the bottom floor was 10 pin. The main floor was 5 pin. The upstairs was 5 pin. And those were magical times. A lot of cool people there. A lot of fun. A lot of competition, internal and external. There were also, of course, some people with, how would you put it? Some people with attitude. I do remember hearing some cross words from some people who thought that they were oh so very important when they were, of course, not so, and they were. So, you really have to be careful with your words because you never know where somebody is at, and um, going off on somebody for not much of anything is ultimately not a good thing. Not a good thing. Ding. Well, I did find more things, but they're not right here. So I think I'll stop with this. I will probably take these upstairs and I will wash. Not immediately. I will sort things. I will do the whites with white things, and I will do the darks with dark things and mix things and stuff, and see what's what. The badges, the badges on one of the shirts are just pinned on instead of sewed on. Maybe we just got them the day of. I don't know. We'll see. I don't remember. But see, the badges today that they give out with the YBC, they're like crap. They're like, I'm not sure if they're printed on a color printer. Um, they're just not good. They're not. Anyway, perhaps I will gather together my badges and things and stuff and see about putting them on something else, or I don't know. I have not bowled in a long time. I probably won't bowl for a while. But, kind of like the scout badges that I found that were my dad's, these things are now relics of a time gone by. Like that, I was participating in 1971 and 72 when I was 6. 6 years old. I was. And actually that year, I think it was that year, maybe the year. I did make it to the tournament, the 4 steps to stardom. I bowled with 2 hands. I did, and I didn't win, but I did my best. I did. Anyway, any sport, any team thing is a good thing for people to learn about. winning, losing, training, practicing, and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And bowling was actually a place where there was a lot more social stuff that went on with the bowling people. It's funny, there was, in fact, one young lady that I was rather taken with. And, but, nothing ever came of it. But it's funny because I had sort of decided at one point that I was going to move to the United States to get married. Now that lasted about 5 years, and that's a long story. But anyway, before I went, and I've told this story before, but never on here. Before I went, I decided, I really, really should call this girl who I was still rather enamored with and just sort of pour out my heart and to see if there was any hope before I went and did all this. So I called, and she very quickly said, "Oh, I'm just watching Dallas. I'll call you when it's over." Well, it was maybe, I think Dallas was on between 10 and 11, or maybe 9 and 10, or whatever. It was maybe 20 after the hour. So the end of the show came and went, kind of like in Apollo 13 when they were in that 3 minutes of silence, 4 minutes of silence, where you have no, whatever, oh dear, what's wrong, Anyway, so I would have been maybe 20, maybe 21 at the time. Anyway, she didn't call back after the show, and we have never spoken, ever, since. No email, no text messages. This is all before all that. And I have no idea what became of her. And I always wonder what might have been if she had called back, or if she just, I guess you couldn't pause things then, or if she just decided to talk. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I hope things went well for her. Ah, life. Anyway, there are many bowling stories. Most of them good. I'll tell one more. This was kind of funny. And the irony of it all. We were at a bowling banquet somewhere, and of course, a lot of these things, of course, being young people, they might do something perhaps not so wise, not so smart. Testing their boundaries, and weren't we bad? Anyway, my brother and another fellow decided that they should go outside of this bowling banquet thing, or it might have been for the Four Steps to Stardom, it might have been some other tournament, probably was the Four Steps to Stardom when they did the provincials, and they decided that they should drink. So there was a building next door or somewhere very close by, and they decided that they would go and drink. Anyway, they got caught, and I guess they got kind of charged. Well, the building right next door was like the provincial courthouse, or I don't know, some kind of courthouse. And they got caught drinking in the parking spots of the judge that they ended up having to go in front of. How ironic is that? And it wasn't he who caught them. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but it was not, as they say, their finest hour. Anyway, but I know that's all part of growing up. It is. Anyway, I will take these and prepare them to be laundered and then see what's what. There are some of these, like this hat and other things. Who knows? Maybe there are people out there who collect YBC things. If I ever got involved in bowling again, I might wear such a thing, and they go, "Ooh, look at that." When I went to the Nationals, which I didn't go bowling, I had an old army jacket that I filled up with pins, and I traded pins. And I would take things, and I would trade off the jacket, and I would put them on my hat. I had a cowboy hat. And because I went, let me think, I guess I went to like 4 of them. There was Sudbury, there was Saskatoon, there was Burnaby, British Columbia, and St. John's, Newfoundland. So it just became known that this guy will be there and he'll be trading pins. And I did. Oh, how I still long to bowl in the Nationals. But sadly, it was not meant to be. It just was not meant to be. Anyway. So, oh, and the teams from my alley, while winning the provincials, they never did win the Nationals. I think the best chance they had one time was in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. But there was rather a one thing that shouldn't have been allowed to happen. And that is that they had different alleys where people would bowl, and the senior boys from across the country were competing at this one alley, and it happened to be the alley where the team from Saskatchewan bowled all the time. And there is something like a home court advantage and stuff. Anyway, when realizing this, they really should have moved the. They should have beforehand realizing, okay, we really can't have people bowling in the Nationals in their home alley. We cannot. But they did, and they won. Um, there was also some funny business. You see, now people take their own balls, 5-pin balls. They didn't used to. I don't think it was even allowed. It just wasn't done. Now people have their own. But back then, the pin people, the pin boys or the other people, would and did move balls from one alley to another between games for the ones that their team liked, because there were different kinds of balls and different. Some of them were a little bigger, a little smaller, different patterns. They had a different feel. Da 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 da. Anyway, wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be a good mixture of balls. But now, of course, in 5-pin, just like 10-pin, and I guess it's a money making thing, people get their own balls and they carry them in little bags and they bring them to the alleys and they put them on the rack. And usually people, well, I'm not sure if they come in groups of 3. Maybe they do, because in 5-pin you typically use 3 balls. But like in 10-pin, I know that people will have the ball they throw for the first ball, and then they'll have like the spare ball. Mind you, I mean the pros they've got tons of balls. Maybe they can only have 2 on the rack, or I don't know how many they're allowed on the rack. But anyway, but things have all changed, and it's funny. I should have at some point. I think I never did. I never got my own bowling shoes. I just got them at the alley. And really, that is another thing that's certainly different now. In that, yes, the alley rents them, but most people who are serious bowlers, and I and the people I bowled with were serious bowlers. We didn't, and we should have, because talk about something that needs to be consistent. You're a sliding foot. Anyway, live and learn. By the way, this was 5-pin. They did have the Youth Bowling Council for 10-pin. They did. Um, and it was huge. It was massive. Like the Shea's Avenue Road on a Saturday morning, both the first floor and the second floor were full of the YBC. Full, full, full. And I think it was maybe 12 lanes and 12 lanes. So that was 24 lanes full of people. And there was 5 or 6 people on the team. So, there was lots of people. But lately, I just don't think it has been so popular. And just like anything, COVID didn't help. It did not. Anyway, all right, time to take the stuff upstairs and get it where it will be laundered, and then I will decide what it is that I do with it. I shall. It's funny, I've had messages from some people who have hoarding issues. And one of the things that does make it easier to get rid of things is that if you know it's going somewhere, like, say, I sent or I got in touch with the YBC people, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'd love a vintage shirt from Zono." I wouldn't feel bad about sending it to them. or dropping it off. I would not. Anyway, makes it easier to be rid of things. So, thanks for coming. Oh, by the way, this funny Christmas tree, it will go upstairs to the dining room, which will be the Christmas room. It shall. So thanks for coming. We'll see you again back here in the basement where I am struggling to declutter. Bye for now.